So we're coming around to our last 3 flowers, and 3 of 12. I said 11 in the beginning, and it is definitely 12. That did seem wrong. Chain 2. So once you've made 11 small circles for your flower center, and you have your large circle, you can start adding your flowers. I'm doing white petals, so I'm going to slip stitch join with white slip knot on my hook in any space and chain 2 and slide the yarn off the hook, and now find a set of 2 double crochet, and in the left hand double crochet we're going to go in and put the yarn back on the hook and pull it up through that space and chain 3. Now slip stitch back in the same place on the small circle. Now chain 2 and slip the yarn off the hook again and skip 1 on the large circle and go into that next space and yarn back on the hook and pull up through the bottom and chain 2. Now slip stitch in the next space on the small circle and chain 2. Now yarn off the hook and skip 1 on your large circle, yarn on the hook and pull up through the bottom, chain 3 and slip stitch in the same space. Now we're going to chain 6 and go into that same space and slip stitch. Now chain 3, 6 and slip stitch in the next space, chain 7 and slip stitch in the next space. Now chain 5 and slip stitch in that same space, chain 5 and slip stitch in the next space, chain 5 and slip stitch in the same space, and chain 7 and slip stitch in the next space, chain 6 and slip stitch in that same space, chain 6 and slip stitch back in that first space. We can then fasten off, and you should have 9 petals. I like to count them to make sure they're all there. And with your 3, 5 chain on the top and the bottom, and 3, 6 here, and 7 at the top. Next we'll add our next flower, joining it the same way as we joined this one, with the sides being a little different. And I'll show you all that. So you begin with the slip knot on your hook and slip stitch join in your small circle. And then you will chain 2, slip the yarn off your hook, and then on your large circle, we're working counterclockwise, adding flowers. We're going to find to the left the next set of 2, and we're going to go into that second double crochet, put the yarn back on your hook, pull it up through the bottom, and chain 3. And then go into the same place on the small circle and chain 2, Slip the yarn off your hook, skip one, and go into that next one. Pull your yarn up through and chain 3. And then go into the next space on your small circle and chain 2. I like to leave the ends on the small circles. Sometimes I find it interferes with your stitches, but if you want to go ahead and weave those to get them out of your way, you certainly can. Now I've slipped the yarn off my hook and skip one and go into that next space. Yarn back on your hook and slip your yarn through that space and chain 3. And go into that same space on your small circle. Now we're going to chain 3, slip the yarn off our hook, and find that bottom petal. And then we will slip the yarn back on our hook and up through that bottom petal and chain 3. And then slip stitch in the next space on the small circle. Chain 3, yarn off the hook, find the next petal, pull the yarn through and chain 3. And we'll go back into that same space. Now we will same space, slip stitch, and then we will chain 4. And now yarn off the hook, find your next petal, which is the last of that top side, and we'll chain 4 and go into the next space on the small circle. And we'll do the chain 5 and back into that same space and chain 5 and slip stitch into the next space. I don't know that I did 5, no I did 4. And now chain 5 one last time and back into that same space, chain 7 and go into the next space, an extra space. And chain 6 and go into that same space and chain 6 and go into that beginning space and then fasten off. And you have your next flower. Oh, I left out a petal. That's why I didn't have an extra. Wait, 1, 2, no. So you have 3, 3, and 3. So it is correct. And the rest of your petals go exactly like this one until you get to this last petal. So I can run through one more with you. Now into the next space. We'll skip 2 again, skip 1, and into the same space, chain 3. Now we're going to go into that bottom petal. And in the next space, into the next petal, chain 3, into that same petal, chain 4, into that top petal, chain 4, and now into the next space, and chain 5, and into the same space, and chain 5, and into the next space, and chain 5, and into the same space, and then we'll chain 7, and into the next space, chain 6, in the same space, and chain 6, and into that beginning space. Fasten off. Continue working your flowers around in that same way, and I'll see you on the other side of the circle. So we're coming up on our second to last petal. Oops, forgot what we were doing here. So we're going to slip stitch join, chain 2, yarn off, find those 2, same, next petal, chain 3, and we'll go in the same, chain 4, that last top petal, chain 4 again, and go into the next space, chain 5, and then the same, next space, same, and 7, and then in the next, 6, and same, and 6, and our beginning space. Again, check your petals, and fasten off. And we're down to our last flower. And this one's pretty much the same except the last side. So and in our 2, we'll do the left hand 1, yarn on the hook, chain 3, slip stitch in the same space, chain 2, yarn off the hook, and in that space, chain 3, and in the next space, chain 2, off the hook, skip a space, chain 3, in the same space, chain 3, bottom petal, oh, I have to do my chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll just pull that through 2, 3, and now in the next space, chain 3, and next petal, chain 3, and then the same space, and chain 4, and top petal, chain 4, and next space, and chain 5, and same, and chain 5, and next, and chain 5, and same, and chain 7, and next, and chain 6, and same. Now on this very last petal, we're going to do a chain 3, and then we will half double crochet in our beginning space where we would join. So half double, it's not a half double crochet, sorry, a double crochet. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you'll be at the top of your petal. Now we're going to chain 1, slip the yarn off, go to our bottom petal over here, and pick up our yarn and pull it through, and chain 1, yarn off, and zigzag to your adjacent petal right above, and chain 1 and yarn off, and zigzag to the opposite side, chain 1, yarn off, and top petal, chain 1, yarn off, and your last petal, and you will fasten off here and weave those ends. You have your little ring of flowers around your washcloth. Next, we're going to put the border around this. With this dark green, we all agreed that it definitely needed that extra border. And the next one, we will do bigger center circles so that we can have more flowers and no outer border. Okay, so let's add that green border real quick and show y'all how to do that. So to do the border, we're going to join in the third petal on the right hand side and do a single crochet join. Then chain 2 and single crochet in your next petal, chain 2, single crochet in your next petal, and chain 4. Now go over to the next petal, chain 2, next petal, chain 2, 1, 2, next petal, and chain 4. So 2 between petals and 4 between flowers, and you'll just repeat that around. 2, single, and chain 2, single, chain 2, single, chain 4. And I'll see you on the other side of the circle. And when you come around, you'll just join, slip stitch join in that first single crochet. Now we're going to slip into that first chain 2 space, and you can do a chain 3 here or chain 1 and do a beginning double crochet. I'm going to do a beginning double crochet, and then 2 more double crochet in that same space, and 3 double crochet in the next chain 2 space, and 5 double crochet in our chain 4 space. And you'll repeat that with 3 double crochets in your chain 2 spaces, and 5 in your chain 4. And just continue that around. And I'll see you on the other side of the circle. So I'm doing my last set of 5 double crochet on the other side of the circle. And then just slip stitch join in the top of your beginning double crochet. Now the next is an optional step. Just give that a little tug, get all those stitches in place, and it should lay flat. And an optional step that you could do is a top slip stitch around that edge. And to do that, I like to use a slightly bigger hook and an H ready here. Here we go. So just change to a bigger hook, and that helps that be a little bit looser. And then do, excuse me, and then just do your top slip stitch around that edge. This one might be a little too big. If you do that too tight, it can pull and take out that stretch. You don't want that. So you would just top slip stitch with this bigger hook around the edge. And when you get to the other side, you just fasten off in that same space that you began in. And see how it gives you this nice thicker edge. You do want to keep your tension throughout, otherwise you will have weird spots in there. I'm going to take mine out and redo that for that reason. I don't want that. So just try to maintain your tension throughout to prevent those spots. And work your top slip stitch evenly around that edge. And again, it just gives it a little more body and a little weight. It evens it out a little bit. It is a totally optional step. And we are liking this green on that outer edge of this green daisy washcloth. Thank you. Check out more. So I finished up. I put the 3 and 4 and 3 and 3 and 4, and then I did the top slip stitch, and I do like that. And if it doesn't want to lay flat, sometimes you need to stretch out those flowers, and it should. And I hope you enjoyed the Daisy Washcloth by Doily Designs. Check out this and the other Daisy dishcloth by Doily Designs at www.doilydesigns.com. Thank you.